What's up, everybody? Oh, and it just cuts out. I had it on the fade too. So much for that. Welcome everybody to the very abruptly starting Art First show. How's it going? I'm Adamtastic. That is Bryan Brinkman over there. Welcome to Art First. What's up, dude? Happy Friday. How you doing?
Happy Friday. Happy February.
Oh my gosh.
We survived the past weeks since we did the show last. It's been a rough one. But you know, there's still lots of cool art out there, and I'm constantly collecting new stuff. So, you know, the grind continues.
It is. It does. And you know what? The markets might be a little flimsy at the moment, but you know what? It hasn't stopped art. Art continues. We push on. We make art. Sometimes these are the best times to make art, right? Reaction to feeling a little down sometimes is what brings out some good art.
Escapism.
Yeah. So with that said, I mean, just like, let's just bring in, you know what, instead, this is going to be a special show because usually we have an artist on who is talking about their process, but we're going to switch it up a little bit this time. I'm very excited to bring in, instead of just an artist, we're going to bring in a curator. Specifically, we're going to bring in from SuperRare. Welcome to the stage, everybody. Jonooo. Hello. How's it going? There it is. Official. Welcome, dude. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great to see you. How are you feeling? We got a big week ahead. How you feeling?
Feeling good. Obviously, there's a lot going on. I've also been a bit under the weather since Node. It felt like I got sick, I got better, and then I somehow got sick again. So, you know, a lot of challenges, but we persist. And like you said, Bryan, we collect art, we support art, we continue to keep the conversation around what's really important here, which is, you know, the art. So yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah. And yeah, I feel that anytime I go to a IRL event, I come away with the sickness poem. So I get it.
It's we get the infected with art.
We like to hug, you know, it's a problem.
It's true. Yeah, man. So you've got a show that's about to start. You joined the SuperRare curation team not too long ago, but you've been working hard, like making your mark and putting out some really dope stuff lately. What I guess, you know what, let's just get into it, right? So the name of this show that you got coming up, I'm going to throw it up here, which is pretty cool, is We Have Digital Art at Home. And what a stacked lineup there. My goodness. RJ, Yuri, Bryan Brinkman, Jack Butcher, John Robert. I don't know how to say that. Is it Lead?
I've been saying Lead.
Jan. I think it's Jan, right?
Jan.
Justin Eversano, MCHX, Roop, Young Weekend Bato, David Henry Nobody. We love the David Henry Nobody. That's a stacked lineup, man. Tell us why was this an important show to put together? Like what are we doing here?
Yeah, I think maybe I had some intuitive sense that things were getting a little wonky, getting a little crazy, getting a little scary. And I wanted to, especially after the December group show that I did, that was very technical, very on-chain centric. I wanted to lighten the mood a little bit and do something a bit tongue-in-cheek, a bit satirical. So really the impetus for this show was to have a little bit of fun, to make a couple of quips and have some laughs. But as maybe if you're familiar with the meme, and I can explain, you know, there is this meme of, you know, let's say when you were a child and you wanted Nikes and you say, Mom, I want Nikes. And then Mom says, oh, Nikes, we have those at home. And you go home and it's like, you know, some beat up sandals from the dollar store or something.
Pair of Nikes and like, we have the Nikes at home.
So that was kind of like the inspiration for the show. But obviously what that really means is you can't mistake genericness or non-name brand things as being unvaluable. And quite often, a lot of times they have a richer value, you know, they have sentimental value. In this case, you have conceptual depth, you have technical depth with certain people, you have artistic depth. It's all underneath the surface. And so, maybe even as I'm talking about it, I realize it's asking a lot of people to spend time with the work. But I find that when I promote these shows, that is a huge ask of mine. Is obviously we want the artist to sell and we want to prioritize the collecting of the work, but at the very least, spend the time with the work. I always talk about it every show. SuperRare has a great Zoom feature for all the works. I think that that's a very underutilized feature, because then you can really get, in the screen, you're not able to, like you would in a museum, step up close to a piece, inspect the paintbrush strokes and the materiality of the work. In this case with SuperRare, you kind of can in some way. So all that to say, whether or not you collect the work, spend time with it, because there's a lot more than meets the eye.
No, I think that's great. And honestly, the Zoom feature is, at least on this show, it's something we very much appreciate. We, until it came out, we were always just like trying to find the link on Arweave and zoom in as close as we could. And then one time when we noticed the UI update, we were like, whoa, hold up, we can go in. And it's a really important part of the process, I think, for appreciation. Especially if you're an artist, if I'm, being realistic, right? Like as an artist, I love going to a museum and getting, do the far back, overview look of everything, but then getting in there and just seeing all the little details and the hand painted parts, or just the materials, the textures. So
textures on them. I'm just gonna do that.
I agree.
But it's great.
Yeah. And yeah, I think, when you reached out about the show, you kind of framed it as, like you said, a piece that at first glance is kind of generic and simple, but then people, if they choose to, they'll see it does a lot more. And I liked that kind of challenge.
Yeah. What is it that drew you to these specific artists then for a show like this? Because I would imagine, maybe some of them were obvious, but there's a lot of really awesome artists out there. So, as an artist who's, probably wondering, like, how your brain works, right? As a curator, what got you to put this specific group together? Like, what were you looking for?
That's an important question. And I think we can, as a part B to that, also talk about, like, generally how I think about curating artists for the SuperRare platform. I think that is obviously a question that comes up a lot. And I do want to use this opportunity to try and connect with as many artists as possible for the future. And if I can help clarify any of those things that may be helpful for artists and their chance of, coming to SuperRare, I want to clear that up as well, because I do have a personal sort of perspective on that. And that's very much my own personal perspective. This is not a rule set by SuperRare. But in this particular show, I think it was really anchored, I would say, by a few artists initially. I think about Bryan, I think about RJ. I think about, honestly, I thought about David Henry Nobody Jr. Initially in that cohort as well. People that are doing really interesting performative conceptual work. And then as the days and the weeks went on, I started to see other people in my natural day-to-day being on the timeline saying, oh, this person might be really a great addition. This, MCHX, I've been wanting to work with MCHX for honestly years. And now we finally have the opportunity. Bado, been wanting, let me just say real quick, I got a chance to actually speak to Bado indirectly. So this was a really fun process for me. I had to make a proposal to the DAO. There was a BIP. I spent time conversating back and forth with Bado. Like, that is incredible. And so, a lot of this stuff just kind of naturally took shape. And I would say, a little bit of more of an intuitive sort of compass as to how I picked the artist. Some at which I really couldn't explain, like there's not like a checking of the boxes, so to speak. And I'm really happy with the way it all shook out. I mean, Jack Butcher came in at the 11th hour too, with some really, really cool stuff. So, I wasn't sure initially if he was going to be involved, and, he doesn't do these kinds of things very often. So I'm hugely honored to have not just Jack, but everybody that said yes to the show. And that goes for all the shows that I've done thus far. Like, I'm always very grateful and humbled by the trust that is put in me to do the show justice and to highlight the works in the right way. So yeah. And then that in a way speaks to how I I think about curating artists for the platform is very much relationship based. It's very intimate in that way. I really love personally connecting with artists in the DMs, having phone calls, getting to understand who they are behind just the work itself. And so a lot of times it's just very natural to say, hey, like, I really love what you're doing. Like, let's bring you to SuperRare. And we've spent time, these are people that it's not just a name on a timeline or a piece of art on a link or something. It's like, I want to know who the artist is, and I want to be able to build with them too, really help steward them in a way that's sustainable. So for all of those out there that are always asking about how to get on SuperRare, I think the best way is just to show up, do your best, and find ways to connect with not just me, but others in the space. And eventually we will, if it's meant to be, we'll find our way to each other. I think curation, maybe it was a different way before with SuperRare. I can't speak to that. For me, I'm a curator. It's my vision, it's my taste. And that is a big part of why, how I do these shows and how I bring people to SuperRare.
Yeah. It's cool to see how it's changed over time. I mean, when I applied, I had to film a video of myself and be like, hi, this is what the art I would make. I'd like to sell it here. And I was back in almost 2019,
Yeah.
It's
like an application.
Yeah,
it was.
You did have to make the application. And I reached out to a curator at the time with an email and sort of not a video, but a resume, more or less, a CV of here's why. And, at the time I had some gallery experience, but it was here's why I think I'd be, a good fit for this. And so I think connection is really what it comes down to. I will ask, because I know there's, I'm in chats with all different kinds of artists. Over the years, I've become friends with artists who are huge in the space and artists who are, virtually unknown. And so, in that gamut, how important is it? Do you think, for connection, in-person stuff, because I do worry a little bit about the people who don't have access to be able to hop over to the States and meet somebody here, or, hop, into, beyond just a DM, right? I know we've had the luxury of, hanging out in person. And I find that those things always really do help any relationship, but for people who can't get there, how does somebody, do that in a way that doesn't feel, forced, let's say?
Yeah, I actually don't, in this current context of what we're speaking about with SuperRare and curation, I don't think it's necessary to meet in person. I think it's really like a cherry on top in a lot of ways. And I think that actually really lends itself well to more like the sort of personal connection side of things. I think you can really achieve a lot with Zoom calls, with Twitter DMs, with sharing your art on the timeline. I think that really goes a long way. And I think maybe that's just even for me. Again, all this is really just me speaking in terms of my personal perspective on all this. Is I can sort of intuit and kind of sense who's here for the right reasons, who's really been showing up a lot, who's really got the right sort of moral compass in this whole thing. And I'm not saying that's the entire aspect, but in this world that we're in, knowing who the person is behind the work is important. So a lot can be achieved, and a lot of people I would consider friends I've never met in person and come from. I just got a DM from my buddy Camo this morning from Africa. We speak to people. I just spoke to Nori from New York, who was in Palo Alto. We met in person, obviously, but we had built a relationship prior. He's in Tokyo. So, it's the global nature of our space. And I think there's a lot that can be achieved without meeting in person.
Well, on that note, I think what I've seen kind of shift with SuperRare and what you're saying is back in the early days, dating myself, it was kind of the starting point for artists, where this was my Genesis drop was on SuperRare, and you'd sign up to SuperRare first, and that would be your breakout. Now it seems like what you're saying is you're kind of waiting till artists establish themselves as viable people in the space first.
I wouldn't say that that's true necessarily. It all just depends on, for me, the connection to the artist and the connection to the work. I would feel, for me personally, I have to feel connected to the work.
Yeah.
more than anything.
Oh, I think that also is good though, because it gives people just in general hope out there who might want to be in that ecosystem, that they don't need to necessarily be in person, and that, you know, there's definitely other ways that they can make these kinds of connections. Also, speaking of connections, well, this is a little bit of a tease of a tease. As far as the pieces that go in this show, right? First of all, when is the show kicking off? Because let's just get that out there.
Fantastic question. There's no mention of the time or location on this teaser, which I'm realizing is...
So never. This is never happening.
No, at some point soon.
It's in the post. It's in the post. If you zoom out and you click out of this image, you'll see the full details. But the auction will go live on SuperRare on Tuesday, February 10th at noon Eastern time, and will run for 48 hours.
Okay. And with all those pieces being auctioned, I know we had talked about this privately. You're not looking to currently show everything that's in the collection. We don't want to spoil it. We want to, save some secrets for later. But we do have.
I haven't even seen the other works. I'm excited to see them.
We do have a little bit of a teaser here, if you're open to it, from Young Weekend.
Well, there's a teaser to a teaser actually that it may be understood, but there are some pieces in this image that are representative of some of the artists in the show. If you know styles, if you know aesthetics, you'll maybe have an easier time associating them with the artist.
Face in there.
There's some familiar faces in here and familiar colors and familiar, So, anyways, yes, but to have a more explicit opportunity to tease one of the works, I'm really happy to have Young Weekend in the show, who has become really a good friend to me, and just a real inspiration for, he most recently worked with Node on all of their sort of like back-end developer work. He's done a lot with ACK and the Muse Factory. He used to work at Manifold. I mean, he's like one of the best guys here, truly.
For sure.
And he's a great artist. And so when I gave him the prompt for the show, he came up with this, which is part of the art, guys. This is the art, but there is more than meets the eye, as I said. We have digital art at home, okay? This is simplicity, genericness, more than meets the eye. So I encourage everybody to scan the QR code and have a little bit of fun, play around with it. I won't say too much, but
we'll let people do what they're going to do, right?
Yeah, and I'll say that this will be a part of the experience on Tuesday when the auction goes live, and whoever collects this piece will be able to have more input on what this piece can do for them. So there's layers to these pieces is all I'm going to say.
I don't know if I should say what I'm looking at on my phone.
Let people do it.
I'll let people do it.
I did it the other day. It was pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I still don't fully know what it's going to happen, but I know more than this image now.
Yes, and so we'll let people explore. But that was a solid tease to a tease with a tease. And while we're teasing stuff, right, we might as well, mainly because he's sitting here with us, share a little bit of Bryan Brinkman's piece here that he's got in the show. Take a look at this guy.
Oh.
And if you're of a certain age,
it's probably going to win the game. Oh, there it goes. It won.
Hey.
Because what it's doing right now is it's resetting to the current time. So this piece is called Sweeper. Again, based on the prompt, I thought about nostalgic Windows 95. And of course, Minesweeper was one of those things that is always in my head. Like that and Solitaire were like the two big ones I played a ton. And so I thought about that idea of Minesweeper and mining and Bitcoin. And I basically am using the Bitcoin Live chain API that is mining Bitcoin in real time. And what it does is you can see in the top right the block number of it and how long it's been mining that Bitcoin. And as time goes on, more of these squares are revealed and the colors move faster until the point when in real time a new Bitcoin is mined and then the game resets. So it's more of a live data visualization of how Bitcoin is mined through the eyes of the nostalgic Minesweeper.
That's really cool, man. Are there...
you can also try and guess where the mine is if you click. There's a hint there with the one.
There is a hint with the one.
It's in one of those squares surrounding it.
Right. That's how that works.
Oh, you found it.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's also dynamic. It resizes. It's got some Easter eggs in there. You can press the button in the middle to make it do a little fun ripple effect.
Are the colors beyond obviously your palette? Is it is each color indicative of a different thing, or all indicative of the mining process?
But if you press the P key, you can see it just does a randomization. If you want something that's a little more static to look at versus something that's moving as much, and then if you press S, then there's a Easter egg hidden within there. You can put a snake.
What? Oh,
I love this piece so much. It's so fun. It's so classic, Bryan, and it's just
it's really smart, dude.
Ooh. Yeah, so much fun. And there are other things to come. I don't know how much you want to say, Bryan, but there are, again, layers, guys. Like, there's layers to this particular experience viewing the work, and then come Tuesday, there are some other fun utilities built into this experience.
Yeah, there'll be some bidders editions involved that are their own unique physical works. So yeah, I'm excited to see what people do, how big the score gets, and Adam's getting pretty far in this.
I'm not gonna. This is the end of the interview, by the way. I'm just gonna sit here and play this game the whole time.
I mean, I love Snake, but I think part of it was like, because you want to play Minesweeper, you can't, since it's really tied to live data. This gives people something to do while they're waiting for the thing to mine.
And Bryan, you mentioned it's really cool because as you get closer and closer to that block being mined, the colors and the tempo at which those colors are cycling start to get faster and faster and faster until it culminates into this moment where that block is mined.
The coins
you have a little bit of a mini celebration.
Very cool, guys. I'm excited. I don't know how to get out of this. There we go. It's very exciting. It's going to be next week on Tuesday, right? That was at the 9th, 10th?
48-hour auction window.
10th. Excellent. Okay.
So I guess it's whenever people hit the reserves. So it'll be staggered, I'm sure. But it'll be fun, and I'm really excited to see what the other artists do. I appreciated this prompt though, because it allowed me to like basically code a fake video game.
I mean, it's getting easier now than it ever has been, right? I mean, Bryan and Adam, are you guys using tools, AI? I mean, anything now to help you in your practice?
Mm-hmm.
I would say this one I used a mix of Jonooo by Transient, which I used to prototype the code, even when I take the code elsewhere. And I think I think I did a little bit of Gemini and Claude as well. Because sometimes you hit a bit of a wall with Jonooo sometimes, and you have to like go to the newest models to get things to work right.
Mm-hmm. There's a piece of art that I've been working on where I needed a reference of a couple of different things, and I wound up cutting them together from AI, but sort of like not then using that so much as just as I would take a photograph of something. I was like, yeah, this is easier than just like Googling stuff. I can just literally ask it to make things I want. I can paste them all together, make a little collage, and then I can look at that as my reference for painting.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
I mean, really, and then you can just interpret based on that. But yeah, the tools are ridiculous. And Bryan just revamped his whole website, just, vibe coding that. Like, no small feat, but also like, man, like, you've been looking to do that for years, and like, Claude opened up opportunities there for you to just.
For sure. We don't have to like work within the templates of Squarespace anymore. We can actually just build what we want to build.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we collectively just give Bryan his flowers? Like,
please.
You really lead by example, man. And I hope I tell you this enough in person, and I'll never stop saying it, but the way you lead and your perspective on how to move in the space is so appreciated. Like, I remember back, I've probably referenced this before, but when you maybe at the end of last year or year before, you were saying, here's how I cadenced out my drops of the year based on how the market was doing, price, the frequency at which I was releasing projects, the number of editions, like just talking about your process and how you're thinking about how you run your business, all the way up unto now doing this website overhaul. I think you just really show how to move and how to move correct. And you're just like a model. You're like the mayor. I've called you this. Like, of the space, and like you really lead by example. And so I really want to just say publicly like how appreciative I am of that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm terrible with accepting compliments.
He's okay.
A lot.
Look,
you can just say thank you. You can just say thank you. That's enough.
Thank you. No, I think
he's amazing.
I think that's the beauty of the space, is that we're all learning from each other. And like, you know, when I did my website revamp, I looked at what Xcopy did, and I looked at what Delta Sauce did, and I looked at other artists. I'm like, what are they doing that I could integrate? And when I did Brinkworks, I looked at what Panther Cheetah did. I looked at what Rhinotic did. I think we're all building on each other. And so, you know, I have to send the flowers all over, because everybody's inspiring, especially seeing what people are doing with AI right now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with all of that. And I think if anyone has tuned in or have ever met me, you know that Bryan's name is like the third word that I say when talking about positive things in the space. So, yep, I could sit here and gush about him too, but I think he would prefer that we look at art from other artists and we move on from him.
Before we do that, I just want to tap into Jonoo's mind about, as a curator, I mean, one, curating is half the battle. Now, next week, you are becoming a broker and becoming a promoter. And how do you align those two things? How do you feel about getting into the collector DMs and all that? Because that seems equally, if not more difficult than bringing artists together, is getting their work put places.
Yeah, that's 100% true for me, for sure. I love being a part of the creative conversation with the artist. I really enjoy working with artists. It doesn't come as easy for me to speak to collectors and talk about the sales aspect, but I do think my intention and my sort of passion and the way that I can speak about the pieces and the show more broadly, there's so much great work in our space that just needs a little bit of contextualization sometimes for a collector to go, oh, now I understand the value in what you're bringing to me. You know, yeah. I think about times where just somebody on the timeline says, hey, I think this work is important. You guys should check it out. And then people go, oh, okay, I'm going to go check it out. So I think sometimes it can be that simple. I think a lot of times the artists that I curate, they've been around for a while. They've really proven themselves in a lot of ways. So I don't know if it's a tough conversation necessarily. I mean, it's a tough time in the market. So I just, there's a little bit of always like, I just never really know how this is going to go. But I think for me, at the end of the day, to kind of summarize, like, I'm a curator, I'm a storyteller, I'm really focused on like the way that people can connect with the work. And I think that ability to connect with the work as a collector makes the sale a little bit easier or more natural. But yeah, then I also have to, like, you know, I have other friends who can help, and other team members at SuperRare, and the artists themselves have great network. So I do kind of also just shamelessly lean on everybody, because I want all of us to win. And I think the artists want to win too. So let's do it together.
No, I think, and like you said, it's a tough time in the market, but I'm speaking back to what you said about cadence. I'm a real believer that whether the market is good or bad, as long as you're consistent, it builds up, and things will sell for more when it's hot and lower when it's down. But that's just, again, catering, giving a discount to the believers versus the speculators. And I think, and it ends up being just fine in the long run. But I think when you see artists that just kind of reappear when things are going well, you start to sniff that out. And so it's better, even though it's going to be a rocky time to drop, it's going to be a great show. And I think it's, again, the type of content we need in the space is new artwork to talk about versus talking about the charts.
I also think, just looking at the list of artists here, and I think it's how important is it to use or leverage some of the clout's the wrong word, but, like, you know, the recognizability of some larger artists to also raise up some lesser known artists, right? So, like, this list has a lot of heavy hitters, but it's also got some people in there that are still, you know, coming up in the space. in terms of like being, I would imagine that would help elevate those people as well. Like, you have some eyes on some of the bigger names, where you can then lift up some newer names.
Yeah, I mean, that you raise a great point. Also, I want to mention that with each show that I've curated for SuperRare, there have been at least 1, 2, 3 artists who have never been able to release work on SuperRare before. They weren't traditionally a part of the platform. So this is a great vehicle also for me to bring in new talent to SuperRare as part of the show. So I really love getting to do that. I know MCHX, I think this was their first time coming to SuperRare. I think also Jan Robert Lichte this is his first work on SuperRare. So you get to also have Genesis drops, which is really exciting. But yeah, I think
that's cool.
It's important to have a range.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be fun. I'm really excited to see the works.
Yeah,
I do think a lot about diversity. I just so everybody knows, like, it is definitely top of mind for me as well. I don't index too hard on, like, making sure that the diversity is the key driver of who I pick. I think, though, obviously it has to come from my connection to the artist and the work, but I do want to make sure that we're representing people from different mediums, different expressions, different genders, that's a challenge a lot of times, right? And I do want to make sure that everybody feels properly represented. So that is always just top of mind for me, and something that I work towards with every show.
That's fantastic, I think, and I think that a lot of people will appreciate that, because it's definitely needed. And speaking of other artists and lifting up new people and getting to get some more eyes, how about we do a little bit of show and tell?
Let's do it.
Let's run it. All right, Bryan, can you hear me? Tell me.
You sound great.
I do? Oh, that's a first. Okay. All right, here we go. We're going to go a little show and tell. This is the part of the show where each of us has brought 3 pieces of art that we've either collected or just think is really cool from artists that we think could use a little bit of a lift. At the end of the show, we post on our Art First Twitter account all of the links that you've seen today, all of the pieces, so you can give everybody a little bit of love. All right. So, Jonooo, let's start with you, dude. And this piece here, With Love from Freedom.
Yeah, Ada, someone who I've been connected to for a long, long time. I adore her. I love her work. It's so deep and rich and just stunning in every way. I come back to her work as a photographer just more than most, I would say, in the practice of photography. Yeah, look at that. I mean, incredible. So her work with color and sort of depth and like this contrasty, I don't know if that's the right word even, but she kind of, there's real depth to these subjects, and the way she's able to play with color and the absence of color has been really, really resonant for me. And so anytime I get to put her on, I try to do so.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
the orange and blues really work well together.
Mm-hmm. I love the detail.
Yeah, and I believe this piece is available on SuperRare. So.
Oh, awesome.
Well, it'll be linked for the show later. Very cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah, shout out Ada.
Yeah.
All right, Bryan, you're up next. What Cities Hold, number 285. This is right here. Let me click on this to get this a bit bigger.
So this was Sigma X's drop with
Sigma
8 nap.
Yep.
I really love this drop because it's full of locations that I'm familiar with. It felt very catered to me. It was like Tokyo and Santa Monica and Paris and New York, and like I was like, oh man, this is like all the places I love to visit. And this one, I love amusement parks, and I love the Santa Monica Pier. I thought this was great. I also thought it was a really interesting drop, the way that I think it was 250 editions, but then he broke it down into like each city had a 1 of 1, a 1 of 10, a 1 of 30, and a 1 of 60. And so you kind of had this structured edition size that people were then trying to make sets, and people were, trading them if they got duplicates. But then there was also a little bit of that rarity thing. It was just a way of dropping an editioned collection that I haven't really seen done. So I want to give a shout out to him and the platform for this drop. I thought it was really well done.
And shout out 8nap. I think Jared is one of those who doesn't get talked about enough in terms of the consistency at which he's bringing great work to his platform and to the timeline. I think I really want to give flowers to Jared as well for all that he's doing with 8nap.
Yeah, we had
December we had him on.
And he's got a lot of stuff planned for this year. He's like, I think the whole year is mostly planned out for the most part with their drops, but they got some big things coming with those guys. Very cool, man. All right, good stuff. All right. I'm going to move on. Here's a piece that I collected, but it is not revealed yet. This is Bird Story from Joe Petio, an amazing animator who decided to take things a little bit differently in a direction of like these 8-bit birds. So this is the teaser image. This is still minting. This is on OpenSea, but they're really fun. I really like the simplicity of the, it's not actually simple, but it feels a little bit like pared down and nice like that. Like, look at these cute things.
If you go to the mint page, I think you can see.
Yeah, that's where I was trying to go to show the examples, right? There we go. So we have these guys here. Yep. Let's zoom out a little bit.
I like it.
They're so fun. And sometimes they're dark.
Oh yeah.
But I love all the colors.
I'm such a fan of his work.
Yes.
Really cool.
We love the Petio.
And very accessible.
Very accessible, sure. Right? Like really.
I think they'll reveal in. It says it ends tomorrow, so it'll reveal soon. So get in while you can.
Yep. $40. Not bad. All right, Jonooo, we're back to you, sir. So this next piece, I'll say this. It is very, there's a lot of really cool audio that we're not going to be able to hear on this show, but it will be linked up later. Very ethereal, very deep bass, synth sounds coming through for this piece. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Beginning to Believe?
Yeah, this is Beginning to Believe by a good buddy of mine, produced by Dave. Encourage you guys to give him a follow, DAV. He is a successful record producer. I met him very early on in my journey in crypto. Him and I were both kind of coming up at the same time. He was teaching himself Solidity. He was in essentially a recording studio on his computer saying, I'm like getting into, we're both in NFTs, and he was really teaching himself all this crazy coding stuff. And what's culminated in that over the years is essentially this real umbrella, this thesis around on-chain networked Creative Commons soundscapes and sonics that people can use in their own way. And so it's essentially, in recording terminology, there is what's called a DAW. I don't know what it stands for, but it's like your production kind of like
digital audio, isn't it?
Workspace.
Workspace. Thank you. There it is.
Let's just call it a digital audio workspace. But now we're bringing it on chain in a composable way that is CCO.
Workstation.
It's very cool, and I apologize that we don't have the audio because of the way this thing works on this stream. But like, please go check this out, people. It's very powerful. It's very and get some good headphones on too, because it's worth it.
Yeah, and this is like all on chain, by the way.
That's insane.
That's sick. It takes me back to when, again, nostalgic, when the Matrix came out, and I was like, I got to get a screensaver that looks like the Matrix code. It takes me back to like that, because I definitely had that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this particular piece, there's a lot of depth to it. It does take some time to really like flesh out, but essentially what Dave is doing is building a world. We have the world computer on Ethereum. He wants to build a world DAW on chain.
Whoa.
Cool.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dig in.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Bryan, you're up next here, bud. We got this piece right here, Transverse Ambulation Beta.
This is a piece by Studio Yorktown. And so what I did, we had two platforms closed down since we had a show last. One was Rodeo, which this piece is from, and one was Nifty Gateway, which my next piece is from. Yeah. And I had to move a lot of works off those sites to my wallet. And so it allowed me to go back and reflect on past collected pieces. And this one from Rodeo really stood out as like, this is just an awesome artwork. I love Studio X10's work.
It's gorgeous.
There was some real gems on Rodeo that we'll hopefully see a second life now that they're moved off. But I just look at this piece and it's like the subtle details of the few figures in the foreground of the border, the shadows, the colors. I just love looking at it, and it caught my eye as it was like going through the funnel from one platform to the other.
Some very Brinkman colors in here, I would say too. It's kind of a bit of a Brinkman palette.
Maybe that's I'm
that's
biased.
Probably why you're drawn to it. Yeah. At first, I thought it was a like a Deca,
a decal,
decal.
I love a good decal.
I love that some of them are out of the frame over here and out of the frame over here in this cutting across.
It would be an amazing screen print for sure.
Oh, it really would. Look at that.
Shout out Studio Yorktown, really incredible.
Do you know anything about their process? Or I really don't.
I think this is all code.
Geez.
Yeah, I think they're traditionally a generative artist.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna throw it on there here, Brian. Here we go. Boom.
Oh yeah,
it's good stuff, man. Okay, all right, we're gonna keep going, moving through. So here is another piece. A piece I did not collect this piece. This is Anita. I believe the artist Kivisiana. I know it says Aisa, but I think it's Kivisiana is the artist. I have them linked up for later. But it's just a striking piece. I know very little about this. I know nothing about the artist. I do appreciate that it says Lorem Ipsum in the artwork. But it is, I don't know. There's an emotion here that hits from recently where I've been mentally at, and I feel like this was a piece that spoke to how I've been feeling. And so when I saw it stopped me in my tracks, and I'm like, we got to share that.
Beautiful.
Really powerful. I like the description too. There's like the glitch is not in the system, it's in us.
I like it, man.
Going back to the Matrix theme from before.
Yeah. It's all related, guys. All right. Jonooo, you've got one more piece up in here. Let's take a look here.
Ooh.
Look at this one. This is fun.
Yeah, so this one has a really great title too. This was You Have a Great Future Behind You by Zenku. Zenku was part of one of my group shows at SuperRare that was talking about AI and fragmentation of memory and nostalgia, and like what does that mean for AI? How does I wanted to play on nostalgia, but I feel like that's kind of a tired concept. So I wanted to kind of take it more into what AI kind of assumes nostalgia to be, or how things kind of get fragmented in the process. And so Zenku actually also is what I understand to be like an autonomous artist. I don't know who they are. I don't really know what they look like. They could be real. They could be fake. I really have no clue. But we've built a relationship on Twitter and in DMs, mainly through their writing. They do a lot of really good long form writing that I would encourage everybody to check out. And then this is their first NFT, as far as I understand, or one of the first, and their genesis on SuperRare. So I'm really proud of this. I love their work, and I'm just so intrigued by who they are and what they are, and that there's like some ambiguity in that process.
This is really fun, really, really cool to look at. Like, it's it feels like a machine hallucination of what the past might have been. Like looking through old newspapers has a feeling. The freneticness of it reminds me, and I'll obviously date myself here, whatever, of like microfiche, microfilm, back in libraries when that's the only way you could look back into archives, with moving really quickly through old reels of or I guess photographed newspaper articles. It's really, really cool. And the title tripped me up. I read it like 5 times, and when I pasted it into the links, I was like, it got me thinking. You have a great future behind you. It's a great title.
They have a way with words, and seeing this piece, I thought, oh, there's more going on here than just the long form written stuff. There's an artistic perspective here as well that I'm interested to see evolve over time. So again, no formula, no process to who gets into these things. It's just really organic.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, it's connection. It's what makes, what clicks with the person who's on the other side of the screen. Very cool. All right, Brian, you have your third piece coming up here. There we go. This piece, yeah. Subway Doodles, right?
Subway Doodles. So, this one, again, going through the Nifty Gateway stuff, it made me reflect on how many interesting drops that platform had from what I would consider to be established digital artists that like dipped their toes into the space with a drop on Nifty. Everywhere from like DJs to Nelson Mandela to everybody in crazy. It was a crazy platform, but it was also like this was an open edition that I minted of this artist that I've followed on Instagram for many, many years, and it only minted like 3 editions, and so like there was a real chance to collect some gems from people that maybe subtly influence you over the years, and yeah, I think we're all kind of. The announcement of that platform closing rubbed everyone the wrong way. I'm glad they kind of pivoted back to a better answer. But, I look back on it with a lot of fond memories of like, oh man, there was like, in that euphoria, there was this magical moment where like all these digital artists were getting their flowers and getting kind of a notoriety in a new realm. So, hopefully we get back to that point again. But it was very, again, went down a lot of nostalgia trips transferring over a lot of these NFTs one by one.
I remember this drop, and I remember seeing them on Instagram before the drop. And I remember this was, I think, towards, unless I'm mistaken, like towards the end of the fervor of, the early Nifty game.
Yeah.
It speaks to why there was maybe only 3 editions minted for it. But I do remember seeing it and thinking that was really awesome. But good takeaway, man. The fact that for a moment in time, there were all these artists who've been working so hard just for likes and and views, were getting their flowers and finding new audiences, and actually some of them making money and living from it. It was really cool. I often relate in my head to the 2021-22 like time to like the movie Awakenings with Robin Williams, where just for a brief moment everybody was there was activity and everybody was alive and it felt amazing. So yeah, great stuff, man.
It almost looks it looks like almost like Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah, they would draw these creatures in like photos of subways. That was kind of their vibe on Instagram for a long time. Looks like they have some there. Yeah.
Cool.
But this one really stood out as being kind of outside of the subway.
It's very cool. All right.
It's been interesting watching. If you want to watch a fun feed, if you go to the Nifty Gateway Omnibus wallet and just look at transfers, you can basically see. Oh yeah, if you go to that and you go to activity and then get rid of mint, uncheck mint, and then you can basically just see a feed of all the pieces that are moving off the chain minute to minute. And fun to see, like, oh yeah, that piece. Oh yeah, that. Oh, interesting. Because it's only the collectors that are still paying attention right now that are moving stuff off.
Yeah. Look at that. Good call. Interesting.
It's also, there's a whole discussion about like all of this stuff was kind of almost like unmovable art, and now it's moving over to OpenSea, and the amount of available works on the OpenSea side is expanding exponentially right now.
Sure. if you were not on the Nifty platform, you were not collecting from anybody there that was on there. It was all very isolated.
There's just a lot of people that didn't take the time to move their stuff off.
That's what I'm saying.
It's in an open marketplace that people that weren't looking at Nifty will see it, and probably a lot more listings, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Maybe I'll catch a Max Payne on a fire sale.
It's a good time to drop weeds on some of these collections because they're out of a lot of eyes, and a lot of them don't have any offers in them.
Right, and someone with a Max Payne who thinks this space is dead might take it for like $100.
Hey, you're talking Max Paynes. I'm talking about these obscure ones.
I'm just looking for
Max Payne's like the most notable one.
Look, I know, and I don't have one.
I agree.
I'm just saying. All right, here's our last piece of the day that we'll share. Here is a piece that I didn't collect, but and I know again, nothing about the artist. So Saki, I believe, is the artist. This is Side View. When I found it, here's what I like, and I believe that it might be AI. It also might be photo. It doesn't matter to me because I found this piece in a moment when I had gone down a very dark rabbit hole, and I was already just not looking at art, and I was just feeling very down from some of the crazy events this week, and I found this piece, and it was the calm that I needed, if that makes sense. I looked at this, and it wasn't a lot going on, and it just felt like the breath of fresh air and the break that I needed.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the colors.
And that's what I say. I love the colors. I love the way that it just makes me feel like I needed space from all of the things that were coming at me, and so this did that for me. That's the power of art, right? Like it evoked an emotion, but it was a blissful calm that washed over me, and I said I can just sit, and I just sat and stared at this piece, and I just enjoyed that. So
spend time with the work, guys. Spend time with the work.
Spend time with the work, and we have digital art at home, as RD is reminding us right there. Thank you, dude.
Cool.
Thank you. Very cool. Cool stuff this week. I'm excited. I'm very, very hyped to be able to see what this whole show is going to look like when it comes together. So before we go, let's do that quick recap. So this show, tell us when, tell us how, tell us why. What are we doing, Jonooo? How do we get into this?
We have digital art at home. We'll be live on SuperRare.com Tuesday, February 10th. That's next Tuesday, February 10th at noon Eastern time, and the auction will run for 48 hours. You'll find it on SuperRare.com. It'll be highlighted. All the works will be revealed in due time. You got a little bit of teasers today. If you caught it, if not, well, you're going to have to rewatch. And looking forward to seeing everybody, and Bryan included, next Tuesday. And thanks again, Bryan, for being a part of this. It's a massive honor. And thanks, Adam, for having me on the show. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate it. We're looking forward to it. We will have links to all the stuff in our show, in our Twitter. Thank you to everybody who tuned in live. Thank you to everybody who's doing their laundry and still chooses to listen to us. We appreciate all of you. And until next time, I guess then we will see you later. And just remember to put art first. All right. Take care, everybody.